Welcome to tonight's baseball edition of 360 Sports. I'm your host, Adam Peterzak, and I am joined alongside fellow analysts Oliver Turner, Jacob Rudy, and Ben Barker. Happy to have you guys on set tonight. And let's lead off with the fact that baseball's back. We have started spring training finally. And while fans are pumped for the new season, there is also a lot of concern because there's the possibility of a lockout in 2027. Guys, how much conversation around the lockout do you expect to see this year?
I mean, I think it's almost inevitable at this point that we're going to have a lockout. The question is whether or not we're going to miss games because of it. So the CBA officially expires on December 1st. The Players Association and the league usually negotiate during spring training, so there will probably be some talks over the next month and a half until the season starts to figure out what are going to be what's going to be at the center of these negotiations. We all know it's going to be about the salary cap, right? That's going to be probably the most contentious issue. The players don't want a salary cap. The owners do. I think there has to be a salary cap. I think there also has to be a salary floor because there can't just be teams, sorry, Ben, with your Pirates jersey, but you can't have teams like the Pirates that are basically just spending as little money as possible, not even trying to win, and literally getting rid of players so that they don't have to pay them their bonuses. I mean, that's just ridiculous. The one interesting thing is how it's going to affect free agency after this next season, because it's going to be about a month of free agency. Free agency starts once the World Series ends. So you'll have a month where players can sign contracts. We've seen free agency kind of slow down in the last couple of years. People aren't really signing contracts on the first day of free agency like you often see in a league like the NHL. So for the big market teams, like Dave Dombrowski came out and said, it's going to be business as usual for them. They're in a bigger market. They're in a position to win. They're going all in. But for some of these smaller market teams, particularly in the central divisions where they're not operating on those high-level payrolls, they're waiting to see what the finances are going to look like after the lockout before they're going to go out and spend money on these big free agents. So something else to keep in mind when the CBA expires.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I just hope that there's no games that are going to be missed, like you said. I mean, the last lockout from 2021, 2022, it was 99 days where we ended up missing a good bit of the beginning part of the regular season. The regular season didn't start till April 7th. So, yeah, it's certainly the salary cap. For me personally, I'm all for it. I think teams like the Pirates or teams like the White Sox, they have those owners that are just inept and don't want to spend money, and that's a big issue, certainly. So I think whenever the lockout, which inevitably will happen, there's going to be a lot to figure out, and I think there's going to be a solution. I just hope that it doesn't take away a whole season.
Yeah, I think we're just on a crash course for lockout. There's too many teams going over, just spending luxury tax. Yep. You got the Dodgers spending every free agency, Yankees, Mets, all those teams. I think you have all those teams at the bottom, the Rockies, the Pirates, the White Sox, who just aren't spending money. I think you just need a salary cap to even it out because there's not a whole lot of variety in baseball right now.
Yeah, it's just the same.
It's the same
thing every year. Like same 12 teams in the playoffs every year.
You just need,
it feels like, at least.
You just need something to mix it up a little bit. Maybe a salary cap is the solution. So I think we're on a crash course for that lockout.
Yeah, and I do think the salary cap and salary floor both need to happen. I don't think you can have one or the other, and you certainly can't have one without the other, because if you have a salary cap, there's no salary floor, so there's really no limit. You can't really make teams spend money, but with the floor, we talk about the Pirates, they're all of a sudden forced to spend a lot of money or a certain amount. And I do think those bad teams will be focused on it this year. The fan bases of those teams certainly will be. And the good teams are really going to be pressured to go all in and really get it right, win a title this year, because who knows what baseball is going to look like after the season. So it's definitely title or bust for a lot of good teams this year.
And one other thing on the salary cap and floor is neither side's going to go for one without the other, right? The owners are not going to take a salary floor without a salary cap, and the players are not going to take a salary cap without a salary floor. One other thing I've thought about with this is I wonder in the negotiations how much international play is going to come into it. We saw this happen in the NHL. It was a major negotiating point for the players in that they were allowed to go to the Olympics. The insurance policy with the World Baseball Classic has been a huge talking point in the last couple of weeks. I imagine that's going to be something that's brought up in these CBA meetings. and potentially maybe negotiating to let these MLB players go to the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles.
Because, I mean, look at how many players have missed out on the WBC because of the insurance.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, speaking of the lockout, let's address the elephant in the room. The Los Angeles Dodgers are back-to-back World Series champions, and they are vying for a third title in a row this year. They've already got a scary lineup, and this offseason it got even scarier with the signing of all-star outfielder Kyle Tucker.
Yeah.
What do we think about the Dodgers? Do we think they're going to three-peat? Can anybody stop them? Can anybody come close? Guys, what do we think?
Yeah, I certainly think they're going to be back. They're going to be back in the World Series. I mean, this team really didn't change much from last year. I mean, you still have all those star players, and now you add Kyle Tucker, and then you also have Edwin Diaz for your bullpen. I mean, this is going to be nasty. I mean, the only thing that I think that could make the Dodgers, like the only thing is the regression, just because of how old their core is. I mean, Freddie Freeman, he's 36. Mookie Betts, he's 33. Teoscar Hernandez, 33. Max Muncy, 35. Shohei Ohtani, he's even 31 now. Not that I see him regressing. I certainly don't. But a lot of players are in their 30s, as I mentioned. So I think regression is possible. It's the only way I could see the Dodgers kind of taking a step back from last year. But all in all, I think this team is loaded. Obviously, the pitching staff's loaded. The starting lineup from top to bottom, it's overpowered. So, yeah, and especially when you're bringing Kyle Tucker, who had a 136 WRC plus last year, which is pretty good, hitting 266. He struggled last year, sort like in the middle section of the year where he was injured, but he still ended up having good numbers. He had 25 stolen bases 2020 season. So that's just another added weapon to this Dodgers team.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have the most big names in their lineup, but several of those names that you mentioned, Tucker didn't have a great year last year. Betts didn't have a great year last year. Teoscar Hernandez didn't have a good year last
Just
year.
average.
Freeman's had injury problems. He's been good when he's on the field, but he's had some health problems. Of course, played in the World Series with the ankle injury. Certainly didn't affect him. He won MVP, not this past World Series, the one before against the Yankees is what I'm talking about. The pitching, I think, is definitely more dangerous when they just continue to bolster their bullpen and their starting rotation. I think we mentioned the salary cap. The Dodgers are, of course, the biggest case of it. I think the big thing with the salary cap, too, is there's going to have to be more structure on these contracts that the Dodgers can't just defer all this money, because that's why they're signing all these players. They're deferring all this money so that they can bring more of these players onto their payroll. No other teams really doing that. There were a couple of deferred deals from other teams this offseason, but these smaller market teams like the Pirates you mentioned, the Twins, the Guardians, most of those teams in the Central are a lot of the small market teams. They can't afford to do that. So I think, the Dodgers will definitely be back. They'll definitely be contenders, but they're not invincible. They almost lost this past World Series. They had a couple of amazing plays that got them back into it. I mean, they barely squeezed out Game 6, took an amazing play in the outfield to get it to Game 7, and then they were down in the 9th inning in Game 7. So it's not like they're an invincible team, but someone has to get over the hump.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to see them do what they do every year. They don't really try in the regular season. They're probably going to win 90-plus games like they always do and then turn it on in the playoffs. The Dodgers have shown they don't truly care about the regular season. All they hear about is October.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're probably going to see them in the NLDS again. Does anyone really top them? I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the only team, is, in my opinion, is the Padres, but even they didn't really add too much. I mean,
don't know about enough.
I don't think they added. I mean, you bring in Nick Castellanos, Griffin Canning as well, and some other role player guys, but other than that, the Padres probably don't have as much talent as the Dodgers do to keep up with them in the division.
Yeah, to be honest, don't think anyone's stopping the Dodgers this year. I tried to think of teams that could really threaten them. The Blue Jays came to mind, of course. They were so close, this close last year to doing it. The Mariners almost made the World Series. If they can just get in, maybe they can put up a fight. Of course, my Phillies have a chance, but how much really if they don't make it past the division series? Of course, they lost to the Dodgers last year.
That's another old team, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Old lineup.
And then the Cubs really stand out to me. They had a fantastic offseason, added a lot of players, Edward Cabrera, Alex Bregman, to name a few. So they could certainly stand out, but it is going to be hard to stop this Dodgers team. But anyways, let's move on into our third segment here. After its success last year in spring training and in the All-Star game last year, the automatic balls and strike system is a full go. It has been fully implemented for baseball for 2026. We're seeing it again in spring training this year. I believe the rule is each team gets 2 of them during the game. First off, I want to know, do you guys agree with the ABS system? And if so, or if not, how do you think it will affect baseball this year?
I think it was a great move. We've seen a lot of terrible calls in big moments. I think it was very necessary. I'm just very curious to see how often it actually is used. Like, could we see teams go games without using them, or is it just going to be like an everyday thing? So I'm just really curious to see how it actually truly gets implemented once we get into the later half of the season and the postseason.
Yeah, I think it's only a time will tell thing with the ABS. I mean, I think teams are going to use their challenges. I mean, balls and strikes are the most contentious point when it comes to arguing calls during games. I think one thing that I saw pointed out, and I hadn't really thought about this, but I think it's an interesting point. You get 2 challenges a game. It's going to matter who's taking those challenges, right? So what if you lose a challenge? How is that going to go over in the dugout with other players saying, hey, you just burned one of my challenges now too? The other thing, if this continues to happen, like say teams keep winning challenges so they're not losing them, how much time is that adding to games? Because baseball can get really slow, and it's clear that teams do not care how slow a game is. They're just trying to squeak out every little inch that they can get in every game. So how much time is that adding to games? We saw improvements by adding the pitch clock that they wanted to shorten games. How much will this lengthen games?
Yeah. Sorry, I'll go first, I guess. I do agree with the ABS system. I like it. I'm a fan of it. I liked seeing it last year. I think it worked, and I think it'll work again this year. I don't think it's going to be that crazy. Like I said, only 2 per game. I guess the time thing you pointed out with how it could impact the time and the pace of the game is something I didn't think about. But what I did think about is the players do have a lot more power than they have before. Obviously, the umpires in control of the balls and strikes, but now the players get to challenge those balls and strikes. If they're right, it looks good on their part. If they're wrong, it could really look bad on their part in the dugouts with the teams, with the umpires. It's going to be interesting to see how this really affects baseball this year, but I'm excited and I'm willing to give it a try.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm glad Major League Baseball listened to the fans about it, because it was something that everyone was clamoring for years now. I just like how it's going to force teams, like you said, to like strategize, when to use them, when the right time is to use them, because they're 9 innings, you only have 2. And unless you win the challenge, obviously, but if you lose the challenge, or if you lose a challenge, you don't have it anymore. So teams are going to have to strategize and make smart decisions. But all in all, I think it's really great. I'm glad there's still the umpire behind the home plate. You still have the human element of the game, calling balls and strikes. And as for timing, I mean, we saw it we saw a little sneak peek of it during the All-Star game last year, and it seemed like it moved pretty smoothly. It wasn't really that slow. And then obviously during spring training, they've been using it as well. And I haven't really watched much spring training games, but from the little bit I've seen, it doesn't seem like it's going to be like that big of a deal or that big of a wait until the call's made. So I think it's going to fix a lot of bad calls. I mean, a lot of fans are going to be happy seeing a ball that wasn't in the zone called a strike. So I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
But another thing too is that they're getting rid, for most broadcasts, they're getting rid of like the box, the strike zone box, which
I'm sure I'm a fan of that.
Which I'm kind of left and right about, because I like how you can see it visually, but it's also kind of like brings back old school vibes from like early 2000s, whenever it was just there wasn't a box there. So it was just more kind of old school vibes. I'm really excited to see how it's going to be like in the regular season.
And I would say one other thing, like if it does get a negative reception, like players don't like it, fans don't like it, whatever, just scratch it for the postseason.
Yeah.
Like you don't need something like this in the playoffs. It's fine to test it out for a year, but if it goes awry for whatever reason, scratch it for the postseason.
Yeah. I agree. Well, guys, it is time to go to the board. One of my favorite segments on 360. Today's topic is sleeper teams. We know that there are a lot of contenders in baseball, and that's what mostly gets talked about, but everybody forgets about those teams flying under the radar. Today, we're each going to go to the board and talk about a team that we think is a sleeper for 2026. Oliver, you're up first.
All right. I am going with the World Series champions of a few years ago, the Texas Rangers. So the Texas Rangers have definitely flown under the radar the last couple of years. I think a lot of people just forgot about them. They still have Corey Seager. They get another full, healthy year of Jacob deGrom. They should be much better. They should be much improved. And the AL is truly wide open this year. Do I think they're going to make a run to the World Series? Probably not. But I think they could definitely do some damage in the postseason. Maybe win 80-plus games. Maybe get their wild card spot. And who knows, maybe get a little upset action.
Yeah, I like that pick. I also noticed Jock Peterson lost a lot of weight too. He's
Yeah.
looking for a bounce back year.
Looking a
for
little
sure.
healthier.
Yeah, he's looking a little less like he maybe ate a little bit less Big Macs last year. So, yeah, I'm excited to see the Rangers for sure. I think they're also a really sneaky team. They made the World Series just 2 years ago. So,
Yeah.
I think the key
Yeah.
player there is obviously Jacob deGrom needs to stay healthy, but I think the key player there is Mackenzie Gore. Does he take the
Yeah.
next step in his
True.
career and
Yeah.
become the potential starting pitcher they
Yeah.
think he can be, or is he still
Yeah.
meddling
Just
in the middle of the
mid.
pack?
And I feel like the AL is kind of wide open to a sense to where the Rangers could definitely find their way in the conversation again with a good year. Of course, they're going to have a new manager. Skip Schumacher is in his first year. He brought
Great
the
manager.
Marlins to the playoffs in 2023. So anything can happen there, but you're up next, Jacob.
All right, so flying under the radar, no pun intended, I have the Orioles as my sleeper team for this year. It was just a season where pretty much everything went wrong for them last year. They had injuries, guys just had down years. I think if you get a bounce back from guys like Adley Rutschman, Tyler O'Neill, also if they can stay healthy, this team's going to vastly improve. They need the production again out of Gunnar Henderson. He had a bit of a down year. They filled the hole at first base, but they did get some help in the middle of last year with Trevor Rogers coming over. He had a great season after he was traded. If Kyle Bradish can come back and have a great year in that rotation as well, I think you're going to see a big boost in this franchise. And, you know, they've had a good bullpen for the last couple of years. So I think this is a well-rounded team, a very balanced team if they can just stay healthy. And if they're younger players, one player I didn't mention, Jackson Holliday, he was the number one prospect in baseball for a couple of years. If he can take that next step up, I think this guy's got the potential to be a star. So I like the Orioles for this year. I think the AL East could easily get 3 teams into the postseason this year.
Yeah, I like that Orioles pick too. I feel like last year the big takeaway with them was, like you said, it was a down year all around. They just got unlucky. And nobody looked at that team like, oh, this team is suddenly going to regress and fall back to their old ways of not being that good. They certainly had the offseason to show that they're still very much contending and could be a contender this year.
Yeah, especially with the addition of Pete Alonso, it just makes this team even more dangerous. Now we just have to hope and pray that these prospects that they've been building up for years now finally comes to fruition.
It looked like they were off to the races in 2023.
Yeah.
They had the 100-win season. They
Right.
still had, I think, the number one farm system in baseball. You can't blow that opportunity.
Yeah.
You've got everything set up. You have to execute on it.
Yeah.
And I think they've still got some young players coming up. I think Jackson Holliday will take that next step. He's a really talented young
And just
player.
also
So
the pitching too. So the
Yeah.
pitching also has to.
that's the
has to
bigger
step up.
concern for them. I
Yeah.
think they've got all the talent in the lineup. Guys just need to stay healthy and have better years.
Yeah.
But the pitching is still a bit of a question mark.
Bounce back from Adley Rutschman, hopefully.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Ben,
All
let's hear
right.
it.
Well, we're going to head over to the National League for my pick, National League Central. My pick is none other than the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, listen, Pittsburgh Pirates, they've been bad for years. We all know this. But finally, they gave us a semblance of hope. Obviously, first off, you draft this guy, Paul Skeens. He's the guy that is a centerpiece around your franchise. You need to build around him, and that's exactly what they did. You had Brandon Lau, Ryan O'Hearn, and Jake Magnum in a big trade that happened during this winter, as well as other players. Marcell Ozuna is one of them as well. He's going to be stepping up too to provide that power. The Buccas need power. The Buccas need bats, and that's exactly what they did this offseason to get them. Now, as for the other players on the team, O'Neal Cruz and Brian Reynolds, those are other guys that are going to have to step up and make an impact as well. Brian Reynolds said that he fixed his swing in the offseason. He's feeling good about it. O'Neal Cruz, he was also during the offseason, he was taking batting practice against lefties. So he's been really improving. Hopefully, the Pirates need to see improvement from him after a struggling year at the plate, hitting 200. So, if the Pittsburgh Pirates want to compete this year, they're going to have to hit because their pitching obviously is fantastic. They have pitchers coming on the way. And another player I didn't mention, Connor Griffin, hit 2 home runs today over the Green Monster at Boston in the Boston spring training game. So, I'm really excited to see how this team can move, and let's hope this offense can wake up for this guy right here.
I mean, before they can see improvement at O'Neal Cruz, they need to see some effort out of him.
Yeah,
Yes.
him too. Well,
Yes.
yeah. Just the thing about O'Neal Cruz is that him in
He's got
center
all
field.
the talent in the
Him in
world.
center field is it's I don't know about it because I mean, we know he has the arm, but does he have the tangibles to play outfield? I mean, he looks last year he looked very out of place. He looked like he shouldn't be out there. So I hope he improved his defense as well as his hitting. So
I mean,
we know what he can be.
Yeah,
He's a
I think
superstar
he's
talent.
maybe a top 5 talent in baseball.
Right.
But like I said, you need to see the dedication. You need to see the effort. You just haven't
Yeah.
seen it from him yet.
Yeah, I mean, he has all the athleticism in the world. You just need to see him make routine plays out there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll finish out with my pick here. We talked about the NL Central. We're now going to head to its counterpart, the American League Central, and talk about a team that made the postseason in 2024, missed it last year, but could definitely be a threat in 2026, and that is the Kansas City Royals. This team had a quiet-ish offseason. They didn't do too much, but their moves they made were impactful. They traded for Isaac Collins from the Milwaukee Brewers, an NL Rookie of the Year finalist. They traded for Matt Strahm from my Philadelphia Phillies, a move I was not happy with, but it will certainly be a good one for them. They signed Lane Thomas away from their division rival Guardians. This lineup has some ballers. Bobby Witt Jr., obviously, fantastic player, one of the best shortstops, if not the best, in all of the game. Jack Caglione, look at him as a breakout candidate. You've also got Vinny Pasquantino. Michael Garcia's coming off a really good year. So many other guys on this team. The pitching is deep as well. You got Seth Lugo, Cole Reagans, Chris Bubich, who was an all-star last year. You had Noah Cameron, who was a good rookie, Michael Wacha as well, and then some other pitchers, Carlos Estevez out of the bullpen, along with Lucas Urseg. This team can make some noise in a division that is certainly up for grabs. Detroit, you shouldn't be watching out for Cleveland. You should be watching out for Kansas City.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think
With the season the Royals had last year was very just disappointing because we
Again,
saw
just on the wrong side of health and players having
Yeah.
down years.
yeah we saw what they can be at their full potential, and it was really exciting to watch because we haven't seen good Royals baseball in a decade. So
Really, since that World Series
yeah,
run,
it's been like 2015.
2015.
So
yeah.
15.
yeah,
Okay,
it's been a
well,
minute.
let's go over to the stadiums now and look at a
This'll
blind
be
rank
fun.
we're going to have. They're going to give us 5 stadiums, and we are going to have to rank one without knowing what's coming next. So let's see what the first stadium we got is. City Field,
City
home
Field,
of the New York
that's
Mets.
Average.
I've
Yeah,
been there. I've been there. I think
Yeah,
it's 3-4
I-
maybe.
I would
definitely
say-
an average
I
stadium.
would say
I'd say
4.
4 for sure
Oh,
is a
4.
good placement for me.
It's fine. Like, there's nothing bad, but there's nothing special about
Yeah.
it.
Middle of the pack at best.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got next?
Oh,
Five,
The
five,
Trop.
five.
Easy
That's
5.
easy.
That thing isn't even up right now.
I'm happy.
I
Yeah,
don't know if this is.
I'm
Yeah,
happy
They
to
can't
see
even
it.
fill it for playoff games.
It's coming back this year, and I'm happy to see. But that is such
And look
an
at playoff
easy
games.
5.
This entire section up here is empty.
Yep.
And the white roof. Like, who decided that a white roof was a good idea
Oh, and
for a
there's
baseball
catwalks up there
stadium?
too.
Do they
Like,
even have a roof
balls
right
just
now?
get stuck up there.
I
They
don't
do.
know.
They fixed it.
But so they will be back.
yeah. So 4 and 5 have been taken. Let's see what the top 3 will be now.
Hopefully
starting
these ones are
with.
better.
Okay.
Okay,
that's
guaranteed
3,
rate field.
three.
That's going to have to be our 3.
That is the average
Yeah.
White Sox attendance in that.
Again,
Not-
again,
not-
middle of the pack, nothing
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
Nothing
Not a
horrible.
bad park, but not the worst. Okay, let's see what's next. Okay,
Okay.
Petco Park. We
Petco
did
Park.
the social media segment before the show, and I said this was the number 1 ballpark in
You
baseball,
guys want to go
but
one?
I
I-
would put it as the number 2.
I'd be open
ballpark
for
in
number
baseball.
2
I'm
as well.
thinking the next one's going to be Coors or PNC.
we are taking the
So-
risk, though. We'll put it number 2, I
Number
guess.
2?
Right?
I'd put it at number 1 because we don't know.
Okay.
Well,
Oh,
it's- yeah, it's number 1.
Oh,
Okay. So we said Petco number 1, I guess.
I think
Yes, we'll say
We
Petco's
made
one.
Petco
they,
one.
I think they
We're not allowing
switched
that.
the slide before,
Yeah.
like just a few seconds early.
We'll say Petco's
this is
one.
exactly why I was advocating for Petco to be number 1 because
Good
I
old
didn't.
Southern Home.
I
I
never
was,
thought
I was
I'd get-
thinking like there was going to be a little sneaky stadium at the end, but
This
I,
honestly wouldn't be too far off from if you put these 5 stadiums in front of me. It's not too far off from what I would have made the
Right.
list in the
Yeah.
first place.
I told you guys I've been to a lot of stadiums. Oakland was not one of them, and I am certainly not going here. I am waiting until they move to Las Vegas to check that one out.
it's not a terrible list, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like that's fine.
I'd
I feel
bump
like,
this one down, but
Other
other than
than-
that, I think it's
I would
City
bump
Field
it.
would have been number 2 if we were having all the
yeah,
stadiums
I
in
might
front
have
of
put
us.
Keep
City
track.
Field up at like 2 or
flip flop
Been there.
this
It's
one
not
in
ter-
City
it's not
Field.
terrible. It's nothing
Yeah.
special, but
Flip
Well,
flop this one in City Field. Keep Chicago at 3.
Yeah.
anyways, yep, we are on to our last segment of the show here, and that is some predictions. We're going to close things out by going around the table and saying who we think will win each division in 2026. We're going to start with the American League East. We got some Yankees fans over here, so
What do you guys
I'll let
think?
you guys kick it off.
I am going to go with the Yankees. Throw the, I've got the jersey on, but realistically, I likely would have gone with the Blue Jays had they brought back Bo Bichette. But when you lose one of the best contact hitters in all of baseball, one of the top shortstops in all of baseball, what's the production going to be at that position? We don't know. If the Yankees can just get through the first couple months of the season, I think they're going to win the division because they do have Garrett Cole coming back. Carlos Rodon will come back at some point. He was pretty good last year, but when you bring back a former Cy Young winner, I think we saw what Cam Schlittler was in the postseason. I think he could be one of the top pitchers in baseball for the duration of his career. And then, of course, you've got the best hitter in the game in your lineup still. Not the most balanced lineup, but he's basically carried that lineup the last couple of years. So I think the Yankees are the front runner.
Yeah.
I'm also going with the Yankees. I mean, you're running back the best offense in baseball. The rotation looks to be improved when you add a guy like Garrett Cole. Bullpen concerns me a little bit, but I think we could make some additions at the deadline that might help us out.
They typically do.
They typically do. Hopefully Cashman will get off the couch and actually do something.
Well, I wouldn't.
Who knows?
But I think the Yankees will probably win 90-plus games. They'll probably be right there with the Blue Jays again. I mean, they won the same amount of games last year.
Yeah.
So I think we could see them win the division, and then we'll see what happens in
I think-
October.
You mentioned they won the same amount of games. The Yankees, I think, get better by bringing Garrett Cole back. The Blue Jays get worse by not bringing back Bo Bichette. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, when I was doing prep for the show, I was looking at the Yankees roster. I'm like, oh, Garrett Cole. I haven't seen that name in a while because he got hurt way early last year. But
Spring training.
I'd say it's a toss up. Definitely just the Yankees and Blue Jays. I think I'm leaning towards the Blue Jays more. I think they added a lot more. They had brought in Dylan Cease and Okamoto in the offseason. So those are going to be.
Cease is up and down. Though, you can't really trust him.
But still, he's a solid pitcher.
He is.
That is going to pitch in the postseason, and I think he'll pitch pretty well in the postseason. But yeah, the Blue Jays, they're also running back the same lineup that pretty much that took them all the way, minus Bo Bichette. Right. But you slot in Ernie Clement, and he was fantastic last year in the postseason. So I really don't see concern in that regard. But yeah, I'd certainly say the Blue Jays or Yanks, but this division is going to be crazy.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I mentioned the Orioles as my sleeper team. The Red Sox always find a way to be in it. This might be the best division in baseball this year.
100%. I could see all teams going above 500, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe not the Rays.
Yeah, maybe minus the Rays, but the Rays are usually hovering around
They
500.
can hang around too.
Yeah,
when you don't expect.
They like to hang around until August, maybe late July, and then
Well,
you'll
like
see
70, 80
slowly
game
fade
range.
out. Yeah, that's usually what they do, average yearly. So
I'm also going to say the Blue Jays. I really like the addition of Okamoto. I think he'll be a good filler for Bichette. Not as good as Bichette was, but I think it'll work out for them. AL Central wise, I'm going to go with the Detroit Tigers. I think, like I said, division is definitely up in the air. Detroit was good last year, very close to winning it. I think this is the year they actually get it done.
Their lineup just needs to improve. I took the Tigers as well, but their lineup needs to improve. I looked at this before the show. The only player that played over 100 games for them last year that hit over 260 was their catcher, Dylan Dingler. They've got the power in the lineup. Kerry Carpenter is a great power hitter if he can stay healthy. Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson both hit over 30 home runs, but they need the contact in the lineup to balance it out.
Yeah, I'm going with the Tigers too. You brought back the best pitcher in baseball for a reason. Right. It's kind of a hit or miss year for them. It's make or break. They're pushing for the World Series. Gleyber Torres has kind of been their best hitter since last year. I don't really know if I would trust that long term, but
yeah,
I think this
Carpenter's got to stay healthy.
Riley Green as well. I mean, you want to see Riley Green have a season he had last year. He was fantastic. But yeah, I also had the Tigers. I think they're clearly the best team in the division. That division is very weak. Like the Twins, White Sox, they're not going to be doing anything. But I also had the Royals because they could be in line for a potential bounce back year without the talent that they have on their team. So I think it's also just a toss up between those two teams, but I'm excited to see how that division plays out.
All right, let's quickly go through the last four divisions. AL West, I'm going to say the Seattle Mariners. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think they've got one of the best rotations in baseball. Brian Wu, absolutely fantastic. They're up and down the rotation.
Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah, I also got Seattle. They look like the best team by far in that division.
Yes, like you said, Seattle, best pitching rotation they've had. That's the reason why they made it so far in the playoffs last year. They're pretty much running it back with the same guys. So, yeah, give me the Mariners.
And as far as the NL divisions go, I've got the Phillies, the Cubs, and the Dodgers. Do we have any disagreements with those picks?
No, not at all.
I could make an argument for the Mets just because they added Polanco and Bichette. I think that's going to really ignite their offense.
They are the Mets, though.
But they are the Mets. They are Lowell Mets.
I decided to go off the beaten path with this one. I went with the Braves having a bounce back year in the NL East.
I like that.
I wrote that.
If
I
their
wrote that.
pitching bounces back, they've got a
Yep.
chance. If their hitters can stay healthy, they have a chance. And then I went with the Brewers again for the NL Central.
Yeah, for the Central, I had the Cubs, but I think the division is completely
Toss
wide
up.
open. It could literally be any team. I mean, besides the Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to be rebuilding. The Reds are always mid.
They're getting
Pirates,
better.
maybe.
They do bring in Suarez. So
Yeah, but the Brewers, they always have the pitching. We'll just have to see if they have the bats.
Yeah.
But
they got young bats too. Those guys are going
Yeah.
to keep getting better.
right.
All right. Looks like that's all the time we have tonight on 360 Sports. Hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.